And with that, let's go ahead and go onto our video segment here. We do got quite a number of videos, and there's plenty to talk about here.
Where?
And I think the best way to start off, of course, is to do a video of a topic I love most, Twilight Sparkle. So we're going to listen to the Great Twilight Rant. And here we go.
Oh, where am I? Whose computer is this? Wait a minute. You're Perp Pone. You're slow for someone into fast mares. And, your Twilight folder is small for someone who likes Twilight. I don't like Twilight Sparkle. I love her. If I don't love it, I don't save it.
Hey guys, so I've just had a lot of thoughts about Twilight Sparkle that I've been wanting to share, that I've shared plenty of times, but I kind of wanted to get it consolidated into one kind of central place where you can just hear it, because I've explained this stuff over and over to different people, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, and I kind of want to get it out there. It's just my opinion. You know, I know there are differing opinions. I have friends that think other things of Twilight Sparkle, but you know, I really love Twilight Sparkle, and I've thought a lot about her and about all of these things that I'm going to talk about. So, without further ado, here we go. All right, so there are two Twilight Sparkles in My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. First Twilight is snarky, sarcastic, confident, but she's still figuring things out. Yeah, it's interesting that in A Friend Indeed, if you look at it, she actually gives the wrong advice to Pinkie Pie. She gives advice that sounds sound and like realistic.
I just can't believe it. Cranky said he would never, forever be my friend. It was horrible. I know this is hard for you, Pinkie, seeing that you're friends with every pony, but you just have to accept that Cranky is going to be an exception. He just doesn't want to be bothered.
But in the end, it's just completely the opposite of what Pinkie ends up doing and what ends up working out better for her. I think it's interesting how you can think of that, how on one hand, it's Twilight obviously still learning all the ins and outs of friendships. You know, it's still early in the show. It's the first season at this time. And the other interesting thought that I have about it is that maybe it's more to say that sometimes there isn't a right answer, or the answer that we think is right is not. Like me personally, I would side with Twilight here. I think that, you know, sometimes you just can't make friends with everyone and you just gotta move on or whatever. But I think it's important that in this situation, Twilight learns something from Pinkie, and that, you know, that's the whole premise of the whole first seasons, or even more, that Twilight's learning from her friends and from the situations that they find themselves in. Now, the second Twilight is neurotic, anxious, and frankly, in my opinion, a caricature of the one that came before. Some thoughts and traits that she shows in the early seasons are exaggerated, while others are completely neglected. And again, maybe completely is an exaggeration of my own part, but I do think that Twilight's character changed a lot between early seasons and later seasons, because they approach the same or very similar situations very differently. See, if you compare the situation of the buffalo versus the yaks, when Twilight has her first encounter with the yaks, she is extremely worried and anxious about anything going wrong. She's completely neurotic and overreacting, whereas in Over a Barrel, Twilight's kind of the calm voice of reason between these two parties that are campaigning on the sides of the buffalo and of the Appaloosans.
Rebel, you look! Both the settlers and the buffalo have good reasons to use this land. There must be something we can do. Hey, I've got an idea!
Now, if second Twilight was thrown into that situation, she would be freaking out and probably make more a mess of it than it would have, or would have been without any interference. But first Twilight was there, and she handled things calmly and reasonably, and, you know, looked at all sides. One common argument or sentiment that I hear is that the second Twilight is acting so differently because of all this additional pressure that she has because she's now a princess. Personally, I think the whole princess pressure thing is just an excuse and kind of a contrived plot line, to be honest. One thing that gets exaggerated a lot with second Twilight is that she would never think ill of Celestia. She holds her on such a high pedestal that she actually has to get over some things and looking up to her. And you know, that's cool and all, but I don't think that first Twilight, she definitely holds Celestia in high regard, but I don't think that she sees Celestia as completely infallible. Because I mean, think about the whole reason the show started. The whole show started and Twilight got sent to Ponyville, and the whole time, throughout the whole first episode, she didn't just trust blindly in what Princess Celestia said. She did quite the opposite. She was completely doubtful that the fate of Equestria relied on her making friends. Instead, she was trying to figure out, you know, these prophecies and everything that she had read about. So to make it suddenly, when she's given a level of power that's similar to Celestia, that she would now suddenly be even more respectful of her. I mean, like, I understand, like, now she might understand what being a princess is like and all the pressures of it and all the things they have to think about and consider. I don't know, but I understand that it's a stressful situation and everything, but I feel like Twilight lost a lot of confidence that she had, and then she ends up having to earn it back again through stupid Discord episodes. So anyway, these two Twilights, the transition point between the first Twilight and the second Twilight isn't actually clear. It's kind of a very gradual, gentle back and forth as different writers write different episodes kind of thing. Well, for some it is obvious. They point straight to the wings as kind of the symbol of this change and transformation in character. And that's a really easy way to bookmark it. And it's also like, you know, second Twilight always has wings. First Twilight, I think, sometimes has wings. But because of the whole difference between the two, it's easier just to reject wings altogether and say, I fell in love with first Twilight, this Twilight at the beginning of the series, and so that's the one that I'm going to love and pay attention to and save pictures of. I don't even want to take a chance of it being
Okay, the camera
Twilight.
work is really making me dizzy.
I don't want to think of that. So they avoid the wings,
Yeah.
and they only
I'm also
use
trying
unicorn
so hard
Twilight stuff.
not to try and
For a
do
while, I was the
rebuttals
same
to
way
it
because I do
know
love
this is
first
a
Twilight.
rant.
You might have already heard my bias
Yeah,
in
literally.
how I was describing second Twilight.
Camera work brought to you by Go Hands.
With positive things to say about her. But I guess to me, I would just cheat and kind of translate all those positive things over to first Twilight. Oh yeah, she already had all these positive traits anyway when she was first Twilight. But it's also because the physical side of things is a very important part of who you are. For example, I would not love Twilight if she were a worm, because Twilight's not a worm. My Twilight is not a worm.
He's a bee.
Okay, but that's different. And that kind of extends into the reason why I don't really care for Equestria girls nor humanized Twilight. But that's a discussion for another video. But I will say that sometimes I'll stumble across a humanized Twilight picture and think, oh, that's cute. But that almost never happens with Equestria girls art. And also, Sci-Twi is a totally different character. She's not even a third Twilight. She's just completely different character that's way less interesting. But yeah, anyway, I'm getting off topic.
Well, I mean,
While we're on the subject
she's
of
not
physical
wrong.
differences, there's also just a simple matter of proportions and aesthetics. I believe that Twilight looks a lot better with a shorter neck and shorter horn. Her mane falls in a better place, and she's just better proportioned all around, I feel. And then there's also the thing they start doing more and more later on, which is shrinking down the eyes of the ponies, like the irises and pupils, which just kind of makes every pony look more scared or antsy or, like, nervous. I think it was a lot cuter in the earlier seasons, where the eyes were really big and just, like, more cute and kind of empty even. I feel like they shrunk them down as a way to kind of make them more expressive, which I also think they overdid. I mean, Case in point, just look at A Trivial Pursuit, where they take it, honestly, way too far. So one reason for this split, for this difference of Twilights, is that new writers were given bad notes on what characters are like. A couple years ago, there were some internal Hasbro emails and documents that were leaked. And one thing that we find looking through them is kind of this spark notes of who all these characters are and what they're like. And with every character, it included a few episodes that were supposed to be the most important episodes for those characters. Kind of the ones that they would look at to define those characters. For Twilight, one of the main ones put in there was Lesson Zero. You know, the episode where she freaks out and makes all those funny faces and does some other
now
stuff.
it starts to make more sense.
Personally, I like that episode. I'm not saying that that is a second Twilight episode, that's out of character for Twilight, but it...
I think for the case here, we're going to go ahead and pause it. If you really want to check it out, The Great Twirant by Perp, it's 30 plus minutes long, so it'll really go a lot more into depth, but it's got some interesting arguments so far, so I think it might be worth a listen if you really are a fan of Twi or want to just have an interesting and nuanced argument about Twi, or however you want to do it. Next, Rainbow Dash takes a sip of jet fuel.
Oh no. Kids, don't try this at home.
How does this end? You'll have to check out Loyalty YK and find out what happens when Rainbow Dash takes a sip of jet fuel. Next, we already had a long-winded rant video. Let's take a look at another long-winded rant video. In this case, Equestria at War. Apparently somebody has been setting up videos about the
January
Equestria
10,
at War universe.
the balance of power in the Great War shifted decisively towards the Allies.
How the things happen
Following
in the
a
maps.
series of failed offensives, the Changeling lands fell back behind a fortified line,
Honestly,
which
I
the
thought
Allies
this
aimed to break through
incredibly
within a
interesting
short period
that
of
it would
time.
have such lore
To the
masters
north,
that they
the
would even
Pegasus
go as
Special
far
Forces
as to make an
organized a
entire
crossing
video
over the Emerald
documentary
River.
about how the maps
Their
turned out
success
the way
opened
they
the way
did in
for the
game.
Stalingrad assault unit,
Yeah, this
which
is
secured the
extensive
city and
lore.
continued the advance westward.
Yeah, it is part 3, I know.
The Changelings
this
could
was the
only
first
react
one I found out
defensively
about.
and were forced to scramble their
So I figured
reserves from
it
the
would be
central
a good one to
direction.
jump in. We'll only watch it for a couple of minutes.
Seeking to disperse Queen Quizali's forces, the United Alliance escalated operations on the southern front. Here, Zelik's 8th army had entrenched along Midlake. The Changeling general was in low spirits, and after Quizalis denied him permission to attend his mother's funeral, Zelix made a classic move. He pretended to be ill. In mid-January, the Allies renewed their offensive. The Pegasi Corps launched coastal landings to draw Changeling's attention. New Lieutenant General Arexis sends his only Panzer division to counter the threat. That maneuver splits the 8th Army. Once the Allied troops crossed the river and linked up with the landing corps, they exploited the weak northern flank. An Allied mechanized division raced along the railway and soon entered the mid-resort. At the end of January, Zelix returns to the front line and convinces the High Marshal Trimmel that the south requires immediate reinforcement. Fresh Panzer and Infantry Corps arrived, restoring Changeling morale. In early February, the 8th Army conducted a surprise counterattack, regaining control of the last
You
positions.
know, I wasn't paying attention for a moment.
The Allies
I thought this
reorganized
was
their
like a
forces and
codified
forced
simulation of the
a new
Korean
offensive,
War.
initiating the
That would be
5th
so
Battalion
You know,
funny.
in
resort.
fairness,
That would be
I can
so
understand that.
Overall, the Allies' plan worked.
Because the area they
While
were
most
zoomed in on
changed
made me
reserves
think of
had
like
gone
it was
to
like the
block
western
inner,
coast
south,
of,
and north,
the Korean
Revolutionary
Peninsula.
Army
No,
of
no, I see
Stalingrad
that.
was
I
already
see that.
breaking the Tremor
But
Wall.
Equestrian War.
During a bitter assault,
Very
Lester
good.
Lunen's
Commander
troops
can
finally
give you
pierced the
a
line,
more detailed
liberated
breakdown
Yonder
on
Hill,
all this
and
if he
secured the
wants to.
surrounding area. The Revolutionary Army marched further north, aiming to bypass the central defensive positions and encircle 3 changeling armies. But this offensive severely stretched the communist forces.
And those are two
Sensing the
deliberate
opportunity,
move
the
those
changelings
tanks through those
successfully
spaces
counterattacked.
moves.
Having disorganized the northern flank, the changelings now wanted to launch an attack in 2 directions, encircling communist armies. In the north, the 3rd Panzer Corps recaptured Mariposa, advancing along the river. In the south, however, the changelings failed to build up forces due to a renewed aggression offensive from the Shire. With the spring gun set, the battles greatly exhausted both sides, so they are switching to defense. At the start of March, Queen Quizzles gathered her marshals to discuss the situation. The ruler of the Changeling lands believed that the Allied armored divisions had suffered heavy casualties during the
Yeah,
winter
this is just
campaign.
equestrian content. There's
With
so
the right
much more
timing
going
of a
on
quick strike, she
everywhere
hoped to
on this
encircle
one.
forces in the Underhill Bulge
It is
and
so
restore the
crazy
defensive
how
line.
detailed they got into this.
Weaselis
and-
also
Yeah,
believed
and
that a
we're
crucial
only
defeat
talking
of the
about
Allies would force
Equestria versus
Stalingrad to
the
exit the
Changelings,
war,
because
thereby balancing the frontline forces
at this
and
point that
paving the
is
way
the
for a
main
truce with
war.
Equestria.
There's small little
The operation is
skirmishes
scheduled for
happening
April.
over in
For the United
Griffonia,
Punies Alliance, Yonder
but
Hill Bulge represented the perfect kill zone to crush the Changeling Panzerfangs.
if you're playing as either the
Victory
Changelings or
there
the
would open the
Equestria,
route
you
to liberate
don't care
all the
about what's
occupied
happening over
cities.
there at this
Each
point.
day, more troops
Yeah.
arrive at the salient. The Allies are fortifying the Bulge, expanded supply hubs, and setting up new airfields. Everything that was needed for the deciduous spring campaign, which both sides knew was coming. While troops on the ground prepare for action, the war in the air goes on. The Changelings already began accelerating fighter production,
Oh, that's hilarious. You got Vancouver, and right next to it is Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
closing the gap with the Allies.
They have fun
In
with all the
response,
names
Equestria pulls
everywhere.
a trump card
Yeah.
up her sleeve. The Northern
Oh,
Bureau latest
let us be
development,
real. A
Lancaster
lot of it,
strategic bomber.
aside from stuff
This
we know
huge
is
machine
canon,
with
Olander.
a 6-ton payload over more than 2,000
Olander
kilometers,
is on the map.
far enough to hit some changeling heights.
Or
In
Talk.
late March,
But
Equestria
yeah,
launches
if this is the kind of thing that you like, I do recommend checking it out. This is from Bounty Maps. Again, this is part 3. They have a few before this, and I think they're still making more after this too. So there's a lot here. You could really sink your teeth in, or just have fun with a kind of a like a not mockumentary. It's kind of like a pseudo documentary about a pony war.
Again, if you want to see some of the gameplay and whatnot, back on the live stream archive channel, Commander has done stuff with CMC and Rainy on this.
Ooh. Now Machushoka.
I don't know which Niku song this came from.
Wow. Okay, they're having too much fun with the heavy descriptions.
Yeah.
And we're gonna pause that right there. But yeah, this funny enough, this is not the first time I've seen this either. There was one over a decade ago where somebody did it, but it was with more stills of the show, and it didn't go this long either. So it's kind of funny to see a full-on version with actual animation, with actually drawn animation and everything. It really is interesting to see.
Yeah, I think I know what the one you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Still
ahead and-
unable to refine that to this day.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy. I literally found it as we were watching this. It's Pony Shiroka. So it's pretty. You just put Pony instead of Matra. It's easy. Anyway, cool cat. Okay, gotta pause it right there. This is so dumb. If you know where this is from, it's even funnier. This I do not know why this exists. This was a full-on kind of a PMV, but a cartoon music video of Garfield. And this was a scene which I will say to this day, John Arbuckle really got a horrible rap in the 80s. The guy was awesome in so many levels. He was just treated as a dork. I hate that. It's complete bullshit.
Well, that's the difference between the comics and the show, though.
Even the shit, all of it. It's just, I mean, I could go on forever. But, yeah, it's funny to see a bona fide version of this. Anyway, Terrorcore.
Oh, I love this song.
Oh, this.
Dancing.
Pause that there, unfortunately. Doesn't go very long. The other thing about this, and I think the other one too, this is all part of a different anthology that has been going on for a while. Every year for the MLP 4chan Con, the Anthology. This was part of the next one that they released this year.
Okay.
You know,
They've been doing fun stuff.
Will we
Okay,
ever?
so
will we ever look at it?
no.
I'm not gonna say no, but we will have to check it out first and make sure we edit things. We have to have an edited version because it is a lot more raw.
Okay, y'all know how we can show Tamas. It's worse than that.
It inspires.
I believe it.
Tamas.
But you know what I mean. We can still show Tamas.
Not entirely, no.
So of course I felt inspired to research to confirm to his. We were watching that one video earlier. I was just confirming like if that was actually a Miku dubbing or whatever on that,
Yeah.
because when it came up, it said all it referenced was Hachi as the thing. Well, Hachi turns out to be a very well-known Vocaloid producer. So yes, that was using Miku stuff and everything. But Hachi also eventually actually went into mainstream music. But they go by their name is Kenshi Yonezu.
Oh, damn!
Why are you going? Like you know something, or do you know something?
I've heard of it, but I
will say I can use two words and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Chainsaw Man.
Yep.
Oh. Oh, that wow.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the dude who made Kickback.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something new.
So yes, that song was from his early work where he first started producing music with Vocaloids.
From humble beginning.
Well, unfortunately, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's time to call it a night. We're pretty much at closeout time anyways, so might as well go ahead and wrap up. So everyone out there, thank you so much for checking us out, having fun with us here at the Brony Show. It is now time to wrap it all up for the evening, and I gotta get myself started to get ready for Ever Free. But before we do all of that, let's of course get our final shout-outs in for everybody who was able to make it all the way through to the end. Start off with DM21.
Have a great week, stay healthy, and get organized.
And CMC.
Fires, explosions, thoughts of industry, Kelly Rowan, things. No streams this week for obvious reasons.
And Tech.
Night all.
And Tokoi.
We'll be seeing you in the after party on the Bond Street.
And of course, from the Otaku Ascended, we have Suki.
Yeah.
And with that, I'd like to thank you all for joining us on the episode of The Brony Show. Please be sure to just keep an eye out on the Discord. Random streams might happen. However, pretty much this week, I don't think anything is going to be happening. Rainy is going to be on a trip. I'm going on a trip. We're all going to the same convention. We're all going to be having some fun. But, yeah, basically because of all of that, there's probably not going to be any streams. So no Circus Gaming Room, no Rainy streams. There will, however, be a stream next Monday. It will be called us doing random things. So be sure to keep an eye out and for announcements on that. But yeah, for now, just enjoy a relaxing week. Then let's go ahead and get our shoutouts in for RC shoutouts. Thank you to Kalsakai, Coldly, Fantastic Fred, Sunquiffer, Tubatic Man, and White Phoenix. But I want to give a shout out to all of our wonderful watchers out there, whether they're watching us on archive, on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever archives may be uploaded, or on stream on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever live streams may be broadcast. However you're catching the Brony Show, however you're enjoying our Brony shenanigans, however you've been part of the Brony community, thank you so much for your time, your love, your dedication, your attention, your commitment, and your and just the love and everything. It means so much to me that you want to be here, that you want to enjoy the Brony community, that you want to be a part of it, you're enjoying the fun, the silliness, the parts, the fact that the Brony community is still here, still going strong, still so full of love and crazy creativity. It just, there's so much to enjoy, so much to admire. I absolutely love it, and I love that I'm able to share it with all of you once a week, whenever I can. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it all up with I Am Rarity by Melody Brony. I hope you all have a good night, everybody. See you in a couple weeks.
just a shame.